Up, over, and gone! Yo, what's up guys? Today we're going to be looking at my old ReSaurus, which is a now defunct toy company, Sonic Adventure action figures. The only three that I have in the set are Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. These figures have seen better days, but that's because I had opened them a few years ago, even though I had told myself I was never going to. I came to the realization that I'm never going to sell my Sonic the Hedgehog figures. So I was like, why not? And then I found out later on that these things sell for quite the pretty penny on eBay. But whatever, they're mine. And my Sonic, for whatever reason, when I took him out of the package, his leg snapped, so he's been glued like that ever since. But these figures came out around the time that Sonic Adventure was brand new on the Dreamcast. I actually bought all three of these at the same time for $9.99 each at Babbage's, which, you know, is GameStop now. But they were pretty cool for the time. I mean, they were the first Sonic the Hedgehog figures on the market, you know, to my recollection. And they were pretty accurate as far as their appearance went to the actual characters in the games. They came with these stands, and I think they also came with some Chaos Emeralds. I could be wrong. I know I have like several loose plastic emeralds floating around the toy box around here. So I'm not sure if they came with these, you know, original ReSaurus figures, or if they came with the later Toy Island releases. You know, I want to say the Toy Island because I've got Big the Cat and Dr. Eggman in that line, and I only bought those in that line because they were, you know, to scale with these as far as the size goes with the other characters. But each of these characters came with a stand of a different color, sort of a metallic gold for Sonic, and then a metallic silver for Knuckles, and a metallic copper for Tails. And the stands have a little bit of detail. I'll get into that later. They also came with a plastic gold ring because, you know, you need at least one ring to stay alive in a Sonic game, and every time you get hit. But let's start off with Sonic first because he is the main character of the series. Sonic looks just like he did, or like he does, in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, although he is a little short. The Sonic figure has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of articulation, which was pretty standard for most action figures. The reason that this works for me for Sonic is because there's only the joint in the shoulders, and there's the joint in the neck area for the head, and then for the thighs. You don't have that illusion ruined, making Sonic look like a robot with a joint here in the elbow and the knees. You know, it would be nice if this thing had a wire inside of it for like a, you know, bendy poses or whatever. But I mean, he's got the signature Sonic Adventure smile that, you know, was always in Yuji Uekawa's art when the Sonic Adventure game came out. He's got the big green eyes, which is, you know, when Sonic Adventure came out, his eyes were green. The buckles from ever since Sonic CD. The bottom of the shoes have a nice, you know, tread pattern ever, and it's got some peg holes for the pegs, so you can put the foot on either one of the pegs. Looking at the back of him, he looks just like he does from the back in all the more recent modern Sonic games. You can tell where they put it together, like right here at the bottom. There's a sort of a line that shows where it was pieced together and glued, I guess. But he's got the two spines in the back and then the tail. His hands, now the only problem with the articulation that I do have is that because of the way that his arms are sculpted or whatever, it's like his elbow is bending the wrong direction, and you can't twist his hand at the wrist either, so you're stuck with this weird sort of pose where you need to keep the hand sort of behind him and then the front hand out front. And I'm thinking that's based on a piece of official artwork for the promotional artwork for the game itself. I could be wrong, but this was my first, and it still is my favorite Sonic figure, regardless of it being broken at the joint on the leg, because it was really weak or poorly put together. Don't fall, Knuckles. the base that came with Sonic is a golden metallic colored base. It's got a 3D sculpted version of Sonic the Hedgehog from the Sonic Adventure artwork that you would see in all the manuals and strategy ads and whatnot, promotional material. It's got a hole here. I'm not sure what this hole is for. Maybe something came with it that I just lost over the years. I don't know. But I usually keep Sonic on here because I don't want to lose anything that came with these, which I may have already. But getting him on there, just poke one of the feet over the peg hole, and there you go, ring. Just move his hand up, the ring in his hand, like so. There you go, there's Sonic. Now for Knuckles, who does not really stand on his base all that well because he's pretty top heavy. Knuckles has the same articulation that Sonic has. You can move his head, but you can't go too far left and right because of his dreadlocks or his hanging spines, because they get in the way of his arms. Even if you move his arms, you still can't really go all the way around. He has the same shoulder joints that Sonic and Tails have, which I'll get to Tails later. But Knuckles actually has wrist articulation, so you can actually move his hands, which is cool because it doesn't have the same problem as Sonic's backwards elbow thing over there or whatever. Unless I just have a jacked up figure. I would assume Sonic's hands are supposed to turn, but they don't. And he has the same thigh joints that Sonic has as well. His feet do not have ankle articulation because this is a basic figure. These are probably about 3.5 inches tall, maybe 4. But they're good at what they are. He has the same ring that Sonic and Tails come with. His base is actually a metallic silver color. Has the same peg hole. Has the Knuckles artwork sculpted into the base. His fist is kind of coming out at you, and I'm guessing, I don't know why they did this, but the spikes on his knuckles should actually be poking outward. I don't know why they have it going to the side like that. It doesn't really make too much sense. But it's a cool little base for Knuckles. it still looks brand new because I don't really use these. Well, I didn't really use them when I first took them out of the packet, so they actually look okay, I guess. But it's hard to get him on here because of how his snout is sculpted and the knuckles on his fist. So he looks fine when you're putting him on there, but after a while he'll kind of lean back because his head's so big and heavy. But that's a minor complaint. We move over here to Tails. Tails actually is a little different. Well, his articulation is the exact same. He comes with his little cowlick thing. I'm not using the cowlick bangs or whatever. They're actually removable. I don't know why they did that. I guess you could turn them in different positions depending on how you had them set up on your base, whatever. I usually just leave it like that. But he has the same shoulder articulation that Sonic and Knuckles has. You can actually rotate Tails' whatever hands at the wrists. That's pretty cool. And then the Tails in the back, actually, they're removable as well. I'm not going to take them out, but they're removable as well, and they spin around because Tails spins both of his tails like a helicopter propeller, and that was Sonic. Helicopter propeller to fly around. Now, what would have been cool is if these things were like individual pieces, but they're just where the two pieces molded together, which, I guess to keep the appearance of the artwork and whatnot, it works. But he's got the same articulation, he's got the same flat paint color that the other characters has. There's no wash because these aren't really supposed to be all that detailed. You want to have the illusion of a cartoon character or a video game character, so I think back then it might have been cool if they had some flocking on them to give them a furry sort of look. But, what do you expect? These were the first Sonic toys we ever got, like official as far as I know, unless they got some in Japan that, I know nothing about. But ReSaurus was a really cool toy company. They had a few figures from other video game series such as Crash Bandicoot and Street Fighter or Pocket Fighter, sorry. There may have been some Soul Calibur, I think. And now I could have been reading something completely different, but I want to say that there was also a planned Metroid toy line from them as well, because I had seen some pictures of a Samus figure, and it could have been someone's internet hoax, whatever, I don't know. But these figures are still among my favorite Sonic the Hedgehog figures. Now compared to some of the newer figures from Jazzwares, which I don't really have too much of a problem with Jazzwares. It's just their Sonic figures tend to have the articulation that I don't like because it makes them look kind of robotic or whatever. But it also they're pretty top heavy for characters like Sonic and Shadow because their heads are huge, and trying to stand them up without having them fall over is a bit of a challenge. But if you move Sonic and Tails out of the way here, and if you can kind of keep Knuckles from falling over when I move him, we'll put the Jazzwares Sonic figure. This is part of the, it came in a Sonic Colors themed package with two little aliens, which I think I have in a box or somewhere. I'm digging them out while I'm talking and not being smoky. But those figures are pretty cool. They're about 5.5 inches tall. They look like the modern Sonic game characters that have been out since like when it's like Sonic Heroes and up to now, like Sonic Generations, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors. They look really nice. The only problem that I have with them is the articulation in the thighs on some of these figures is kind of weak, and I have an SBO the Chameleon that as soon as I opened the package, his thigh just broke off, and he's been on the shelf with the other figures ever since. But they're not bad figures. It's just they have their faults and their problems. The little alien, or one of the aliens that came with them, the Wisps from Sonic Colors. This is the orange guy whose name I don't remember. Those are actually pretty cool. I don't. The only really, well, aside from the articulation, problem that I have with these is he looks weird when you start looking at like his mouth area down here, and then the paint on his eyes doesn't actually come all the way up to the brow area. And on the ReSaurus figures, you can see they actually got the eyes painted on there pretty nice and clean. This one here is almost like Jazzwares just kind of got a little sloppy, and they're like, it's a Sonic toy, kids are going to buy it regardless, which, fans like me as well would do that. This figure has some scuff marks on it because my kid keeps taking it running off it because just like his dad, he loves Sonic. But yeah, size comparison, he's a good inch or half an inch taller than the original Sonic figures that came out. And so if you were going to do some sort of like, setup or battle scene or whatever on your shelf, you could, I would say, use this as like, classic Sonic versus modern Sonic, but they actually have a classic Sonic figure in the Jazzwares line, and it's actually pretty decent. But overall, the ReSaurus figures to me are the best, and you can actually find these on eBay, although not very cheap. If you're looking to start a collection of Sonic figures, you want to start with the first ones, which are these right here, and they're really good. I mean, like, there's no real issues other than the few things I pointed out. I mean, they look nice on your shelf. If you're a Sonic fan, you're definitely gonna love these. I mean, I highly recommend you track these down if you can. Sonic might be the one that's gonna cost you a little bit more because he's the lead character. Tails and Knuckles, I've seen them for between 20 and 50 each. Sonic I've seen for at least 100, sometimes even more in the package, because usually people selling these have them in the package. But yeah, I mean, if you can find these online, I say go for it. Start your collection off, because there's plenty of Sonic the Hedgehog figures out there now that within a few months, whatever, you'll have several shelves worth of these figures, and they're nice figures. I mean, they're nice to have if you're a fan of like Sonic games, if you're a Sega fanboy like myself. They're really nice. So yeah, go out there and buy some. Thanks for watching. This has been Chris for 3 Points for Articulation. Be sure to like our videos, subscribe, leave comments, good or bad, and we will try to keep bringing you more awesome reviews. Thanks. Later.
This video go hand in hand with Sketchy White Dude's video, which is a response to Kizzume Fowler, which was a response of a response of a response. But his video was a result of comments in comment section of D. Wayne's video that the three of us, being myself, Kizzume, and Sketchy, had yesterday. So, take it
Hey there,
away,
I'm at
Kizzume.
Oak Tree Park. I hope that's the right name. I hadn't been here before. It's a very quiet place, which is very hard to find right now. And right at the entranceway, they have this Tacoma water, and they have this spot. They say chlorinated, unfluoridated water. You can push this button and fill up containers. So I did. Anyway, Mr. D. Wayne made a video as a rebuttal to someone else's video that was a rebuttal to one of his videos about flying the Confederate flag. And Mr. D. Wayne was trying to argue that, well, these things are just symbols and some things are just words. And I'm like, you know, if you... Yes, they are symbols, and from one perspective you could say they're just symbols, and things are just words, but if we took that kind of viewpoint all the time, we wouldn't have a language. Language is based on these things having some sort of meaning. That's what a language is, you know?
Now, I'll link D. Wayne's video so that everyone can see for themselves, those that haven't already seen it, and what this is actually about. But Kizzume, here is your very first mistake. D never said what you claim he said. You have just completely strawmanned him. What D actually said, now I'm just going to paraphrase here, but you can verify, or anyone else can, when they check the video, was that there is nothing inherently good or bad about a symbol, a flag, a word, or anything. Now, throughout his video, on numerous occasions, he emphasized that point of inherent. He did not say that they are just flags, symbols, or whatever. I'll just stick with flags at the moment, that don't have meaning. That's not what he said at all. He completely acknowledged that we give them meaning, which that in itself negates any inherency, because if we can give something meaning, we can take that meaning away if we so choose to, or we can change the meaning of that. And history is littered with examples of exactly that. So yes, you just completely strawmanned him. So I suggest maybe you re-listen and actually listen to what he actually said, not what you might think he's implying, because
And sketchy white dude started to let me see what the whole thing was. You know, what is it about the way that the symbol looks that offends me? I'm like, it doesn't. It's just the social meaning of it. You know, symbols will often represent different ideologies, and people like to be able to word things in as few words as possible. That's just something we do. And you know, putting something, making a symbol as something that has a lot of meaning is, it allows someone to say, hey, I'm against what this means.
I think here you actually acknowledge the point Sketchy was trying to make without even realizing it, because he was pointing out that it wasn't the flag itself that offends you, it's the meaning behind it, or what it currently represents. In this case, racism or racist attitudes, or however you want to say that. The reason that's pointed out is because we need to address that, not the flag itself. if we can attack or address the racist connotations behind the flag, then the flag itself will no longer be offensive to people, or quite possibly won't be offensive to people. Some people will always see it as offensive, but that's their choice. We're just talking on a general sense here. That is the point. It's not the flag itself. It on its own is just an inanimate object. It's the meaning that we've assigned it as people, as a culture. That is what needs to be addressed. You acknowledge that, but I still don't think you got the actual point.
And I'm like, well, you know, and if most of all, the flag isn't being banned except on government property. And if we are to try to claim that the government, you know, should be able to put that sort of symbol on government property, then we might as well be saying they should be able to put up religious symbols on government property, and I don't think that you'd argue for that. So
now, I know Sketchy elaborated on this point in his video, but I'll try and put it a different way to see if you get it this time. And that is, if you don't want to say banned or call it that it's been banned, the outcome is still the same. It's, however you look at it, it's a form of censorship, irrespective of who's trying to enforce it. If anyone is screaming, take that down. Now, I'm going to put aside your comment about government buildings, because that was never raised only by yourself. Let's say, for example, I'm flying it in the front yard of my house. If anyone is screaming at me that to take it down, or even very, very strongly implying I shouldn't have it up without explicitly saying take it down, they are still trying to enforce their version of censorship onto me. And if they succeed, the outcome of that is me taking that flag down. So the end result, it's still the same, no matter what you wish to call it.
And someone mentioned, well, there's the Buddhist and Hindu swastika. And I'm like, well, if we know that that's blatantly what it is, if you can blatantly tell that it has to do with those religions,
if you hadn't
then, you know,
strawmanned D at the start, you would have quickly realized that the reason why those two examples were even brought up is because as examples they're used to negate the claim of inherency within flags, symbols, words, or whatever. So very, very relevant to mention.
Then the next
those.
argument was, well, you know, what if, well, then you'd have to agree that if someone's flying it because they believe in free speech, then you'll have to say that too. And I'm like, I guess, but if you're just putting up some symbol and you know what the connotations of that symbol is, then you're just saying something offensive for the sake of saying something offensive. It's stupid. I mean, unless something is being banned, which we haven't really had that problem in this country, of some sort of symbol being banned. Oh, you can't use this symbol. Oh, no. I don't know of anything like that in this country. So there's no threat of the Confederate flag literally being banned, just like there's no threat of the swastika literally being banned. You can fly it at your house, you could put it on your car, you could have it on your clothing. Your employer may not like it much, but that doesn't have to do with free speech.
Here again, you don't get the point of banning. You're just straight away assuming that done by governments. No, people can and do attempt to enforce their version of censorship all the time. Now, initially in this comment, you at least passively acknowledge that, yes, you've got the right to stand up for free speech. Then you say it's stupid. So I'm guessing that it's stupid when you disagree with that free speech that you don't agree with, which, you know, this was where you would fail the test of whether you actually support free speech or not, because if you truly support free speech, you support the speech you don't like, which includes flags, symbols, etc. Another concept that you're failing to grasp or understand here is quite often when governments, in the past anyway, have banned a certain thing, it's been as a result of pressure from the people. Enough people scream outrage enough, it's highly likely the government's going to turn around and say, okay, let's ban it. You don't seem to get that. You automatically want to jump to government banning, but completely ignore all the possible scenarios that could lead up to that. So it's like you're saying, let's do nothing until it's too late. Look where that's got us as a society in the past. When people didn't stand up early enough, there's no point standing up when it's too late.
But exercising free speech with no reason other than, well, I'm doing it because I can.
So we'll ignore what so many people are doing. Forget for a second about governments and government banning it. Let's just concentrate on what's actually happening. And that is, there's a large number of people out there trying to enforce their version of censorship. Now, you can ignore all that and still scream, you're just being offensive for the sake of being offensive, and call that person stupid and fucking retarded. Or you can acknowledge what's actually happening and realize that you're the one that's being stupid and fucking retarded.
What? So should I just go around, should I go to a mall and just come up to people at random and say, well, you're an asshole, and come up to someone else and say, well, have you stopped beating your spouse yet? That sort of thing. I mean, it's legal. I could go and do that.
So you're gonna try and tell me you don't see how irrational and fucking stupid it is to conflate my right to wave a flag with walking up to someone and directly insulting them to their face? You think it's a perfectly rational argument to conflate those two together in defense of your position, which at this point I'm assuming that it's your position is against free speech? Is that actually a rational argument to conflate waving a flag with going up to someone's face and insulting them? No, it's fucking not. It's ridiculous.
Would there be a point in that? How about someone going around saying nigger, nigger, chink, nigger, nigger, chink, 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 nigger, chink? Yeah, they could do that. They're free to do that. Is there a point? If there's no point, then why do it? It's stupid.
Same terrible conflation that you just made before. You've just done it again immediately straight after.
Exercising free speech with no goal other than, well, I can exercise it. That's stupid. That's fucking retarded. Seriously, that's retarded.
And I don't know why, but you just don't understand the concept of, in the context of waving a flag, that you're standing up against the people that are screaming at you to take it down. I don't know what is so hard about that to understand, or are you too riddled with emotions, which you actually appear to be, to get that? There's nothing logical about anything you're saying. Nothing at all. I actually think ignoring the whole context of the conversation that's been had is a little bit more fucking retarded. Seriously. It is fucking retarded.
So then I was told about well, there's people that were stealing Confederate flags off private property. Does that help get rid of racism? I'm like, theft doesn't help racism. No, theft doesn't do a damn thing to squash racism. No, not at all. Theft doesn't help.
There's more there that you're just not getting, and that is, these are people on your side of the argument. This is what they're doing. Yet, you're calling someone who wants to wave it stupid and fucking retarded. Yet, you acknowledge that the people on your side of the argument that are doing these things aren't combating racism. That's the whole point that you're not getting. But it's actually worse than that too, because you didn't just condemn them, you just said, no, it doesn't help. Which leads me to think that you actually think it's okay, that those actions are okay, which is forced censorship. Yet somebody else standing up to that is fucking retarded and stupid. I think you've now made your position pretty clear. You are all for censorship, and you're all for basically stealing somebody else's property. I think that's the message I just got out of that. Other thing that you're not getting out of that was the question directly addressed a major point, and that is the flag itself is not racist. That's what it means. It's what it represents. That is. And those actions don't address that. And you even acknowledge it. But, you know, it is what it is, I guess, and your position is pretty clear.
You know, to me, someone going around trying to they want to prove they have free speech, that's like some of the people that go around purposely trying to put themselves in situations where the police will question them, and then quizzing, basically trying to challenge the police officer's authority by showing your constitutional rights. And they go around, I mean, there's people that have entire channels dedicated to this, and they go around doing this all the time. I think it's as stupid as that.
Now, I can agree that deliberately putting yourself in a situation just to challenge police is stupid, and it's asking for trouble. On that point, pretty much agree with you. But where you lost me is, how the hell can you conflate that with somebody waving a flag because they have that right to, irrespective of what others think about it? How can you even conflate the two? They're not even remotely close.
You know? I mean, if that's some... I mean, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. I get told, so you think we should have free speech as long as we're not dumb enough to try to use it? No, so as long as you're not dumb enough to just utilize it for no reason, just to say something offensive for the sake of being offensive.
So again, for you to even make that argument, you're ignoring all the people out there that are trying to stop people from displaying a flag. And only a couple of minutes ago, you acknowledged that there were even people out there attempting to steal them. I'm at the point where I'm calling you extremely dishonest as well now. You can't acknowledge something and then a minute later ignore it to be able to make a point. That is dishonest. And I think you're well aware of that.
That's what's stupid. Exercising your free speech when you have a reason to, that's a good thing. That's something we should all be doing. But just to do it just because? I mean, what is it? Is it free speech Dadaism? Social Dadaism? I mean, what the hell?
I think you also need to check into Dadaism again, if you haven't already, because you're implying that Dadaism had no goal, which was false. You can't say that you're saying something just for the sake of saying something and then label it with something that had a clear goal. It's a complete contradiction what you've just done then. Yeah, I suggest you look into Dadaism again, but just briefly. It was an art movement, and it was against the snobbery of the time in that part of Europe that deemed only certain types of paintings acceptable. So there was a clear goal with it. Anyway, just a bad contradiction.
Then I get told by someone else, Damien Farrar, well, you can find it silly to exercise free speech for no reason at all, but, I'm just like, it is stupid.
You just quite mined me and, in a sense, strawmanned me to try and validate your invalid point. Now, an honest person would have provided the full quote, and you deliberately left off the very important part when I said that, yes, it is silly when you ignore their reasons and context. But you didn't include that, did you? And I quite clearly said it. At the end, seriously, this is just an emotional rant and whine, probably because you weren't getting your way in that comment thread. So you've come onto YouTube, you've had a complete whine. That's all it is, and there's nothing coherent about your argument. You've made your position pretty clear, which personally I think is pretty disgusting, but that's your right to hold that position. And really don't know what else to say.
It is stupid. If you if you want to try to get something banned, that's the way to do it. Now, we're probably not going to ban a symbol, but if people are just going to just push out some symbol that's offensive just because they can, oh, look, I can, well, that's a route to eventually get it banned. I mean, that's fucking idiotic. It's fucking retarded. And that's all I gotta say, because this camera's about to overheat.
So I think your video was nothing but a whine. it made no valid points. There was nothing coherent about it, and it was not even remotely rational. But anyway, there's my response to it.